And let's go live. So we're live. Welcome to our Friday evening program, and my sincere Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, servitors of worldwide Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt, and we're broadcasting at the order of Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj, at the lotus feet of Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju, at the SoCal Seva Ashram. And so this is in continuation of our VarnAshram Dharma from the last time, and I have my panel over here, so let me bring them on here. And Dandavats Arun Krishna Prabhu,
Dandavat Prabhu,
Dandavats Chinmoy Prabhu. So we have our panel over here, and we will start with the discussion. As always, we're going to begin with Mangalacharan, which is the auspicious invocation. Everyone watching, those who can, please chime in. Otherwise, just in a meditative mood, you can follow. So, Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Yuta Padakamalam Śrī Guru Vaisnavam Sacha Śrī Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivashakan Vitam Sacha Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Abhishta Shapurakam Guru Ganarashisha Sambhushitam Chinta Chinta Samasta Vedanipunam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govindabhidam Ujjalam Vartanam Bhaktanvitam Sundaram Mandevasya Gurum Cha Divya Bhagavat Premnavo Bijpradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandravadanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandranandapuram Sadeka Varnam Vairagya Vidyambudam Shri Siddhantanidhim Subhaktilasitam Saraswatanam Manam Vandetam Shubhadam Madeka Saranam Nasisaram Sridharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Dividito Gaudiya Guru Anvaye Bhat Bhanuriva Prabhat Gagne Gaura Sankirtanaye Mayavadati Mingilodara Gatan Uddhitta Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdigahana Sukham Padat Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishoraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangri Padma Bhrangaya Radha Bhava Nishevine Mande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Sarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radha Rasa Sudhanadim Gaura Vrajashita Sheshaira Vaishnavaira Vanda Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Primabdham Nidda Vaishnavam Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanaye Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurutase Namah. Welcome Shamaji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Shamaji is joining us all the way from Australia. And I also want to, my humble obeisances to all the friends and well-wishers of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram as well. So, to everyone,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So our topic that we were discussing, we discussed last time that we began was something not pointing fingers at anyone or anything like that. It was rather aimed at purely the misconception that surrounds VarnAshram Dharma and how it has been over the years, over centuries, thousands of years, it's been exploited from within and from without. So we are trying to discuss that threadbare. And last time, in the last session, what we discussed was more of the misconception from within and from without. And we tried various angles. And then we took the help of Srimad Bhagavad Gītā first to define properly the original intent and purpose of VarnAshram Dharma, why it's supposed to be, why is there division, and the varnas and the ashrams, and what is intended to be achieved out of having such a system. And so the scriptural references that we took from Srimad Bhagavad Gītā were primarily from chapter 18. And then also we took from Gyan Yoga, chapter 4, where the Lord Himself says that this has come from me, Chaturvarnayam Maya Srishtam, Gunakarma Vibhagasha. And the Vibhajan or the Vibhag is actually by gun and by karma. It has nothing to do with a seminal line, which is today followed, and it has become an abomination, and it serves no purpose. So with that, we had discussed, and then we had discussed the various qualities of the four varnas, how they are defined, and how it's not like hierarchical. It doesn't say that as we read in the part of the misconception that it's hierarchy in order of lower prestige, it said. So prestige is lower, starting from brahmanas, and they're supposed to be the highest, the most prestigious. So we did not find anything like that in what we studied. So having done the basic study over here, then we turned our attention to Srimad Bhagavatam, where we get some further insight into why this Vibhag was, and what was the original intent. Why was it necessary? And so the verse that we studied was from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, verse number 13, which says, Ataha pumbhir duj shreshta varnashrama vibhagasa swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So this is part of the conception of why, and this lays the foundation of what is the real intent, or what is to be achieved out of the vibhajan in varnas and in ashrams. So this whole grid is not serving any purpose without samsiddhira haritoshanam, which is to be engaged and to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, haritoshanam. If it does not satisfy, and if it does not serve the ultimate purpose of pleasing Lord Hari, then there is no use of such a system. And then it says, Atah pumbhir dushreshta varnashram vibhagasa. So varna and ashram vibhagasa. So it has been divided. Swanushthitas. It means do not try to do something out of the ordinary. What is within your gun and your karma, swanushtitasya, stay in that. And by that you can serve. So rather than be something which is binding or which is containing or saying that you do not go anywhere from here, it is saying you can stay where you are within your guna and your karma, knowing your propensities, knowing your qualities, and you can effectively serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead within this grid. That is the meaning of Sanushthitasya Dharmasya. So then you can perform and you can discharge your duties within the framework of your guna and karma. And then through that, samsiddhir haritoshan. So it does not require you. Here, people see it from the other sense, but when you actually study it, it is not requiring anyone to be a pandit. It is not requiring anyone to have any special abilities within the grid. All it is saying is that no matter where you are, what qualities you have, what you don't have, it does not matter. What matters is that you engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari Toshanam. So this lays the foundation of why VarnAshram Dharma is there for the masses to be properly, you can say, categorized according to their guna and their karma, and through that, then they can serve better, more appropriately, and be engaged in the service of the Lord. And so the cultivation of the spiritual consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, is within VarnAshram Dharma. It is the central, you can say, without this, there is no reason why VarnAshram Dharma is to exist. So having studied this, then the next step, Srimad Bhagavatam says, is a word of caution. In a nice way. A word of caution to those who are within VarnAshram and they think that they are working perfectly. They are situated very high. They have prestige. People come and wash their feet. Or they wield a lot of power within the social structure. To them, it has a verse which is in a way cautionary. So the verse is in 1st Canto, 2nd chapter, and the verse number is 8. So 1st Canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 8. It says, Dharma sunushtitah pumusam vishwaksena kathasaya na utpaded yadi ratim shram eva hi kevalam. Which means, to those dharma sunushtita, we looked at that phrase and that word in the previous verse. Sunushthitasya dharmasya, right? Samsiddhir haritoshanam, which means to stay within your natural domain of your mental capacity, of your physical capacity, and through that, don't try to emulate or copy or go beyond your jurisdiction. Here, it begins with dharmah sunashtitah pumsam vishwaksena kathasaya. It says, now you are well situated within your function, within the grid of VarnAshram Dharma, and now you're getting a lot of prestige, and now you're making progress as far as dharma, arth, kam, moksha is concerned, all of that, and you know the progress, you can see it, you can feel it, but don't think that is all in all. Why? Vishwaksena Kathasu. Vishwaksena is another name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is saying that if you're perfectly discharging all your duties, the Brahmana knows all the Vedic verses, and he can create fire out of water, he can make angels appear, and then the Khatri can have all the divine weapons. He can win all the earth and all the planets. And the traders and all the others, they're all perfect. Still, that may be so. But if they are not attracted to the glories and to Vishwaksena Katha, Hari Katha, progressively, then their perfection in their dharma within the Varnashram system amounts to Shram eva hi kevalam. And what does Shram mean? Useless labor. In English we have that, I have heard that saying, the hamster's wheel. There may be better examples, but that's one example that comes to me. All it does is, it thinks it's running really well and really fast, but where does it get? Shram eva hi kevalam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, a word of caution to those who think that they are perfectly situated within Varnashram. Varnashram, just for the sake of Varnashram, has no purpose. Any thoughts, any reactions?
Perfect, Prabhu. And then people, I can say, in India who think that they are Dharma Bhir, following the scriptures, and that is perfect. It just tells where they're situated. And I reflect on my own situation, who used to think so. As long as I'm following this, I'm in good shape. But that good shape means nothing. Nothing. If it does not draw any attraction to understanding and listening to the pastime, and because listening to the pastimes of Lord really gives a purpose, and the purpose is really, it allows you to have a sense of beyond this dark material world and ignorance, there is something substantive. And that is what listening to the pastimes and the names of Hari really benefits. In the beginning, I may not understand everything, but unless there is that, then I am no different than my neighbor who is doing all that is required, indulged in very nonsensical or untruth way of life. A lot of money, this and that, and consume like anything, without understanding where it is coming from, because that consumption does not give any semblance of satisfaction. Maybe the first moment may give some sense of satisfaction and joy. But as we have seen, any achievement that we have on the material plane, the way the body is constructed, the mind is constructed, does not get continuous benefit even if there is enough of it. Totally useless. So there are many people like that, and maybe I was also there for some time, but some higher power allowed me to continue on, and in some way be always wanting to learn the pastimes of Lord. No matter how imperfectly I have studied in my youth age, that allows me to really say, yes, this is something of substance, this is something I can relate to. And that's the pastime of the Lord. Very long sentence, but Prabhuji, that's honestly what I feel about.
No, please, there's no such thing as long or short sentence. And look who's here, who has joined us. Anilji has just joined us. Namaskar, Anilji.
Namaskar ji.
Ritu has also joined.
Oh, Ritu ji. Ritu bhabhi.
Auntie,
Namaskar.
namaste.
Namaskar. कैसे हैं दीदी?
बस कृपा
हरे
परमात्मा की.
हरे
ये मेरा लियो भी ज्वाइन कर रहा है नीचे.
लियो lucky dog.
Yes.
How are you, Anil ji? आप ठीक हैं?
बहुत अच्छा सर.
So in Bhagavad Gita, kind of carrying on with the thread that we have, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord assures persons, because what may happen is that maybe the Shudra community is looking at the Brahmanas. Can you stop it? Can you please keep that down? So the Shudra community is looking at maybe the Brahmanas, thinking they're so high, or they're doing their work perfectly, or looking at Vaishyas, or looking at Vaishyas, maybe looking at others, or any which way, and try to emulate that. But there is an assurance in Bhagavad Gita that we are not to be envious or to look at others and not act in a way which is not according to our nature. So in chapter 18, verse 47, that's what it says. That is what is echoed. It says, Shreyan sadharmo viguna paradharmat sunushtita swabhav niyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilvisham. It says, one's own duty, though imperfect, is better than another's executed well. And sin is never incurred by a man fulfilling the duty prescribed according to his nature. So this is like an assurance to those who think that they're imperfect, that they themselves may think inadequate, and think that, like, look at the others and look at that, look at this. This verse gives them an assurance, like, no, you're doing your duty according to your guna and your karma. You are perfectly situated. And you are trying some siddhir haritoshnam, that is perfect. Rather than you trying to be someone that really by gun and or by karma, you are not. So there is another verse in chapter 3, verse 35, where this assurance is repeated. As Shreyana Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Sunushtita, which is the same, nearly the same first part. Paradharmat Sunushtita. Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. It says, even if it is imperfect, it is better to do one's duty according to one's own nature, gun and karma, than do another's well. Even death in the discharge of one's own duty is better, for to perform another's is dangerous. So this verse is kind of repeated twice, once in the 3rd chapter and then in the 18th chapter. So first is like an assurance, and the second is to tell persons that don't emulate and don't try to copy something which is not according to your nature. Just be within your nature. Let it be an organic process, natural progression. And the success of Varnashram is if it can propel the souls to Rati, towards Rati for Hari. That is the purpose. So, and there is a deeper meaning to this verse, but we'll come back to this, where the Param Guru Maharaj has given a deeper meaning. But for right now, we'll just stick to this direct import as per our Varnashram that we are trying to discuss. Then we come to a very, very, you can say, important verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is in chapter 18, which is the final chapter, verse number 66. So it says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma shucha. So in this verse, which is the Lord is summing up his whatever he has given, all the knowledge he has shared and all the wisdom, and he is giving this verse by saying he has actually revealed so many dharma he has revealed. But finally, what is he saying? He is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya. Huh? Very interesting. So first we are given all of this, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Kriya Yoga, all these different yogas, and then finally he's saying, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Sarva Dharmana Parityajya. The first thing is Sarva Dharmana Parityajya. So the persons within Varnashram, for persons within Varnashram, I have a question. Does this apply to you? Because it is thought from, if you see it from the perspective of, let's say, Hindutva, that the Lord is asking you to give up your dharma if it is not Hindu. Right? I'm just saying perception. This is what the perception is. But what is the Lord really saying? He just, in summary, he said, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And so then, if I'm a Pandit, or if I'm Vaishya or I'm whoever, then I'm thinking, what about my dharma within Varnashram? And so the answer is, that needs to be given up as well. This is the ultimate understanding of Lord's words. He just does not want us to be stuck in a grid of divisions forever. It is an evolutionary process to train the consciousness. And once it comes to this understanding, then Lord gives this message, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Well, you have done this primary duty toward me so wonderfully, now I promote you. Isn't this like that?
Yeah, so it's like you have come to this level, now let me give you the treasure.
Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Now you have been a wonderful Brahmin, wonderful shlokas, you have done this, you have all weapons, all of this, all of that. Now, forget it. Sarva Dharman Parityajya. This is...
Lord is saying,
This is...
I was just adding that finally Lord is saying that this is the way to come out of that lower cadre of divisions, right? You just come to me, right? And leave even that also.
Yes, that's what it means. He did not leave out Varnashram Dharma. He says Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And he said this 5,000 years or more back. Now let me remind you, 5,000 years back, what other conception existed? Can you tell me?
There was only some Sanatana Dharma in the whole world.
See?
And that Sanatana Dharma, even if you historically look at, is all the way from Anatolia, Turkey, Egypt, and wherever there was any civilized civilization, there was only one civilization. And of course, Iran or Persia is already given in. That was part of the Sanatana Dharma, the heart of the Sanatana Dharma. So, absolutely, that's a very good question to ask, Prabhuji. So, 5,000 years ago, the highest of the high, you essentially paritya and take my shelter, a direct connection with me.
Yes. That is our Lord. So that is Swayam Bhagavan. Ete cham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And he is saying to the living entity that you are not to consider yourself a little mouse moving within this grid. Get out of it. This is empowerment, spiritual empowerment to the highest degree from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. If someone has studied Bhagavad Gita truly, and then they come to the shloka, you cannot ignore it. It will move you. Okay. This is what we call, to those who study corporate strategies and marketing, this is the call to action. This is the call to action. Give up all of this. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. And you're interested in cleansing your sins? He says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Done. I want to have punya and do away with the pap. He says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. And then finally you're interested, dharmarth kama moksha. Interested in moksha. He says, moksha shyami. Ma shucha. Don't even worry about it. As if that is something which is like a supplemental thing that comes with the main thing, like an additional gift. That is Krishna's heart. Sarva dharman parityajya. Give up varnashram. And this is 5,000 years back when it was a lot better than it is now. And then we hear so many people read Bhagavad Gita and so many commentaries and so many things. Who has the desire to discuss this? Other than the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Gurudev. Who has it? No one. So varnashram has to be given up if one understands the true essence of Srimad Bhagavad Gita as said by the Supreme Person. How beautiful is that? Any reflections, Arun Prabhu?
What can I say, Prabhuji? Anybody who reads a little or more would be just enthralled by the clarity and the good fortune of knowing the truth. And truth is just really revealing himself. Bhagavan himself is revealing this is what it is. Be a part of it. You are already a part. Be a conscious part, a willing part of it.
So, as with regards to this verse, I just want to share with you a little bit of the commentary of Param Guru Maharaj, Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, if you permit me, which is very, very beautiful. So he says that, give up all kinds of religion, even VarnAshram Dharma, and surrender to me alone. I will liberate you from all sins. Do not despair. And this excerpt that I have is from the Religion of the Heart. Our inner aspiration for rasa, for ecstasy, is buried in the heart, and the heart is tied down and sealed. So first it's buried in the heart, and then the heart is tied down and sealed. But hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna breaks the seal of the heart. And the heart awakens and opens to receive Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, ecstasy himself. Raso Vaisa. Akhila Rasamrit Murti. This is by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. So about that knot that we just discussed, if we study a little bit more, then we come to this verse which says, Bhidyate hriday grantish, chindante sarva samshaya, kshiyante chasya karmani, mai drishte khilatmani. The knot in the heart is pierced. All misgivings are cut to pieces, and the chain of fruitive actions is terminated when I am seen as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we come to Sri Chaitanya Dev. And in his Shuddha Ahankar, to display what that purified ego spiritual, all spiritual. What is that? What is the sentiment of that? When that happens, then the surrender, Saranagati reaches that stage, which is full self-surrender. Atmanikshep. Then, what is the parichay or identity of that heart, of that soul? And he himself has given that. And what does he say? Na ham vipro, na cha narapatir, na pi vaishyo, na shudro. Na ham marni, na cha grahapatir, no vanasto jatirva. Kintu prodhyana nikhil paramananda, purnamratabdher, gopi bhartuh padkamalayor, das dasanudas. Hare Krishna. Now what does that mean? This is the vivid revelation of the treasure within the identity of pure ego in self-dedication. So, Param Guru Maharaj gives that like a primer before each verse, like what to understand from this verse. Tatra shuddha ahankarasya parichaya samraddher abhivakti. This is what is to be understood from this verse. So it becomes clear to us, because interpretations abound. So what we understand from this is this revelation of the treasure within the identity of this pure ego. He says, I am not a priest, not a king, not a merchant or a laborer. I am not a student, a householder, a retired householder, or a mendicant, meaning sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Śrī Krishna, the Lord of the gopis, who is the personification of the fully expanded nectarian ocean that brims with the totality of divine ecstasy. That is who we are. This is the direction where VarnAshram should take us, if it were to be successful. This is the direction. So in all the levels of VarnAshram, they are also known as, if someone is born, like in the Asuric system, if someone is born in a higher level, then they are called Uchchakul, right? But what this is, what kul is this? This is Mukt Kul. So Srila Rupa Goswami says this about Harinam, those who are chanting Harinam. Nikhil Shruti Mauli Ratnamala Duti Nirajita Pada Pankajant Ai Mukta Kuler Upasyaman Harinam Paritastam Samshayam. So this is for the Mukta Kul, not the Uchchakul. It is not for any Brahman or any other person. This is for Mukta Kul. I want to hear something from you.
Prabhu,
Yes.
may I speculate? Maybe you can correct me.
Mm-hmm.
So it always seems to me that that verse in the Bhagavad Gītā, one we just discussed, always needs an asterisk by it. It needs to be like, don't attempt this without being a fully surrendered soul to the Lord. Because if we hear the words, "Oh, give up all religious duties and surrender to me," okay, well, fine, I'll do that. I'll surrender to you, and now I don't have to do any religious duties. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe this is one of the reasons why Mahaprabhu in the Ramananda Sambad, he rejected this verse as the goal of life. And he, when asked to go further, the next verse was Jnana Upasyam, where he said that we need to have guidance from a sadhu. We need to be under the loving guidance of a sadhu. And then what seems to be from our gurus, what we're seeing is Paramahamsa Dharma. So maybe for us as conditioned souls, it's not applicable that sloka where we could be fully self-surrendered and forget all our duties, all our religious duties. But instead, what we're doing now is everything that we're doing, even if we're existing in the VarnAshram Dharma, that should be an offering to the Lord. So we're using everything as an offering to the Lord. So it seems kind of like it goes full circle. Krishna is saying, like, perform your prescribed duties, and then at the end he says, forget about that and just surrender to me. And then Mahaprabhu's, and then Saraswati Thakur and all them, they're saying, perform Paramahamsa Dharma. Everything is for the service of the Lord. So even like we can exist and we have to practice our sadhana, and because we are conditioned souls and we need this to help us to clean our heart, so we have to practice that. We're not going to be completely surrendered to the Lord right now, so we have to practice that as an offering to the Lord, by which we'll come to complete surrender to the Lord.
Absolutely right. And that is the reason why none of the steps that were the Lord said, Eho bhai aage kaho, so this is external, say more. Those are all steps that we are not to simply give up, because that's not the ultimate. If we try and come to the ultimate, then what will we be? We'll be sahajiyas. So it has to be seen as a gradation, and an honest self-analysis has to be made by every soul as to where they are in this evolutionary process of consciousness towards the center. Then everything will make sense and we will be properly adjusted. But till such time, all of this will be very, very confusing. And yes, someone who reaches a stage of wanting to surrender, then they will find all help. Meaning, they will find external guidance, they will find sadhu sang. Can you stop that? And they will find all guidance and they will find all help which is required for them to go forward. Because in essence, this is something very fundamental. Before even touching any of these literatures, one has to realize that I'm imperfect. And for me to achieve perfection, I have to have higher guidance, because without that, I can never achieve anything. I cannot even walk a step without guidance from higher energy, Guru Tattva. So without that, none of this is possible. Any of it is not possible. Then it'll be just some mental speculation, and like you said, some feel-good situation where people are just feeling good and, oh, this happened and wonderful, over to tequila shots or something, and then go back home and get back to their mundane lives. Right? So for any of this to happen, tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya ubdekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. That has been said way before any of this. Like, don't try to get into this by yourself. You cannot understand it. What is sacrifice? And then what is karma? And then how it culminates into gyan, and then what is gyan, and then how it culminates into maybe bhakti. All of this has to be under guidance right from the start. And then the Lord also says that nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. Remember that. Even if one is to realize that I am on an island stranded with this one page where it says sarvadharmana parityajya, and then how do I surrender? But I begin to, and it has brought me to a stage and there is nothing here but rocks and grass. This is the Lord's promise. Things will manifest. And that is faith. That is faith. If He has said that, I believe Him. I have faith in that. And if my faith is correct and I directly approach Krishna, guess what? He will take me. He will show me my Guru. Just like if I go to my Guru, he will show me Krishna. Yes, Arun Prabhu, please.
So what Chinmay Prabhu said kind of got me thinking. And these are very deep questions in my view, because once you have reached some level of understanding, then one gets an appreciation of the next level of questions and queries and discoveries. And to some extent, this seems like, people who know geometry or engineering, fractal, where there is a shape. And if you understand the fractal, and if you deeply understand, then the fractal comprises of a smaller fractal or a more finer fractal. And so one may start off with the, parityaj of the VarnAshram now and surrender to Krishna. That is really the quantum step, entry into the comprising fractal, which has its own set of fineness and system, and that there we could think of it starting from the base and progressively moving to understand that fractal. And this levels of fractals are progressively deeper and deeper, finer and finer, infinitely, as you said, Prabhuji, that it's a progressive path. So the fractal continues to be there. And as you zoom into the fractal, you see the smaller fractal and a smaller fractal and so on. And the same is also true as a materialist. If your level of understanding of this material organization, this material world, that's my microcosmal fractal. And if my view by some mercy has been expanded, then I get to see, there is that bigger fractal. Similar shaped. It seems to have similar qualities and so on, yet it is so different, so big, and there are so many other fractals comprising it, and so on. So it's kind of a progressive path to the true nature of Bhagavan and true nature of the Ahankar, as you rightly said, and I was paying attention to that. What Bhagavan there is saying, that is Ahankar is not the Satya Ahankar, or the true Ahankar, not the false ego.
Yes.
We at this point, when we talk about Ahankar, we are talking about the false ego.
Yes.
That is really a culmination of the Sukshma body and the gross body. We think this is who are. But that you mentioned, he is himself saying, that is your true nature. That is your true Ahankar.
Yes.
where you are a servant of a servant of a servant of a servant.
Yes.
This when your true self understands.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like when finally you get to that stage, then this is what your sentiment will echo. That is how it won't be like, okay, now I'm an achiever and now I'm a ruler again. So then that would defeat the whole purpose. He says, Das Dasanudas. What does that mean? Even at the highest perfectional stage, what is he accepting? He's accepting
To be a servitor of the servitor of the servitor of the servitor.
which means he is taking ashray. Which means even at our perfectional stage, which is far away right now, but even at our perfectional stage, we will be under guidance.
Yes.
That's what it means. Tishthan vraje tadanuragi jananugami kalam nayed akhilam mityupadesha saram. So it says, oh, so you have reached Tishtan Braje, now you are in Brajadham. Okay, wonderful. Okay, it says, okay, but then follow the residents of Vrindavan. Now that you're in Vrindavan, now follow the residents. You think following has stopped? No, it never stops. So what we understood from our first chapter of first canto of Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavatam or first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how we got into this and then how slowly it may take 1 second, it may take 10 years, it may take 10 billion births, but who cares? That is besides the point. We are walking towards the absolute. We're walking towards beauty. I don't want to calculate. Why should I calculate? So that is the divine sentiment, which we are discussing by the grace of the sadhus, by the grace of our Gurudev, by all of you coming together with us. That's the only reason, and that is why this is being facilitated. You don't think there's any higher grace in this? This just happened to be like a chaotic moment in eternity? I don't think so. So behind everything, one has to be able to see the grace of the Lord and Sri Guru. Otherwise, without Guru's grace, how is Sadhu Sangh possible? We have so many guardians within our family in Saraswat Math. How would that be possible? They're taking care of us, they're nurturing us, they're giving us support, they're engaging us. Yes, you discuss, and then giving us pointers and telling us, okay, this is maybe a direction, this is in a very beautiful way. How can that happen if that is not instruction? If I don't take that as instruction, then what do I take as instruction? Then I will stop growing. We are never to do that. Right from day one, this is taking shelter. One of the biggest conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam is ashray, taking shelter of guardians. The more the better. So anyway, this is, it was a lively discussion, and I hope that this is not like just the end, and this will continue. And those who are hearing all over the world, they will take it up seriously and continue and take Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and Gurudev's instructions, Srila Govinda Maharaj's instructions, Param Guru Maharaj's conception, and actually, if nothing else, at least look at it honestly, earnestly, with some faith, and that will be a highest blessing. Because what we're discussing, it's not mine. And in this endeavor, I thank all of you. I thank the panel for being with me and during this discussion. And I also have a whole team here who are hiding. I have Sangeeta ji also over here. Sangeeta ji is also here. So let's do Hari Hara, and then unless someone has something, Chinmay Prabhu, I don't know if I answered, but was that some help or?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking in my own head how to understand, because I'm always a little cautious. I like preaching that sloka, Sarvadharma Parityaja, but I also find it kind of a little dangerous because it kind of, I don't have to follow Ekadasi. I'm a surrendered soul.
No. See, we like danger. I'll tell you what. Unless someone is willing to take risk, there is no question of gain. So we like that. But the thing is, if someone wants to enter a business thing, they will look for a partner. They will look for someone who has more capital than them. And we want them to do that. But the first thing is to have that feeling. I'm looking for that feeling first. The mechanics of it will follow. That's nothing. That will follow. I want the feeling. All the feeling first. Like, I want to surrender. Okay, if you want to do it, then I can help. And I'm sure if someone comes to you, Chinmay Prabhu, can you help? Yes, you can.
I can direct people. I can direct people to who can help.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And isn't that help?
They help me.
It's like, help me help you. Yes, Arun Prabhu.
So, what Sripad Chinmay Prabhu is saying, is useful because people, with their own understanding, if they become a literalist and no feeling, no real surrender, but just looking at, this is what it is, and I think I am there, and thus I can parityaja and mamekam sharanam. I think that is people who are really that naive, for lack of a better word. They need to be reminded they are on a C-17 paratrooper, and you jump out of the C-17 if you have been trained and you know that you have a parachute behind you. And it'll be foolish to say, I'm perfect, you know what, Superman, here I come, jump out totally unprepared.
Yeah, that's foolish. That's foolish.
That's foolish, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. We have, anyway, I mean, pardon my offenses. Honestly, I just trying to be of some service, and then now we'll have Hari Hara, and then maybe afterwards we can discuss. So please give me a moment here.
Didi, is Anika around?
Yeah, she is around, but she's kind of little bit sick. She got lots of bug bites. I don't know how bug bites. So she's lying down. She took some medication. Little sleepy.
Okay,
She's
we're ready.
around.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay.
Yep.
भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः
हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय
यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीवा गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ एक साई गोसाई कोरी चरण वंदन जहाँ होते विज्ञानाच अभीष्ट पुराण एक साई गोसाई जार मुई तारा दास सवार पाद रेणु मोर पंचग्रास तंडेर चरण से विभक्त सने बास जनमे जनमे मोरा एहि अभिलाष छाय गोसाई जबे ब्रज कोइलाबास श्री राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला कोरिला प्रकाश
राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला
आनंद बोलो हरि भजा वृंदावन श्री गुरु वैष्णव पदे मजैया मान श्री गुरु वैष्णव पद पद्मा कोरियास हरि नाम संकीर्तन को है नरोत्तम दास हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Gurudev,
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivadakacharya Varya Stotra Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivadakacharya Varya Stotra Sata Sarva Siddhantavid Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
जय भगवान श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय. जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. जय श्री चैतन्य सारस्वत मठ आचार्य वृंद की जय. जय शिला भक्ति पावन जनार्दन महाराज की जय. जय शिला भक्ति निर्मल आचार्य महाराज की जय. श्री चैतन्य सारस्वत सेवाश्रम सोकेल की जय. सपार्षद श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय. रूपनुग गुरु वर्ग की जय. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. नित्य गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
श्रीपद जयराम प्रभु की जय. श्रीपद चन्मय प्रभु की जय.
श्रीपाद अरुण कृष्ण प्रभु की जय. All the assembled devotees की जय.
जय.
आबा दीदी की जय.
प्रभु की जय.
या नंद किशोर की जय.
की जय.
लवान्या देवी दासी की जय. All the assembled devotees की जय. नित्य गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Give me 1 second.